Hey guys, Steve Moran here. It's Friday, the Friday before 4th of July holiday here in the US. And I know that's not true for everybody. I've got Kristin Harris with me, and we are going to have a sizzling hot conversation today. We are sampling hot sauce like crazy. Let me see if I can do this without spilling them. And they go from like the low of 700, 600 Scovilles to 25,000 Scovilles. And so we've got lots of water and milk and everything. But before we get started, let's do this. Hey guys, Steve Moran here. Before we get started on our first, no, let's actually talk. Let's try our first one. Let's go to number one and see how that works. I'm gonna dig out. It is called. What's it called?
Smoky bourbon.
Smoky bourbon. So I got my bottle open. We preset it up with taking the foils off, so we didn't have to do that on TV. And we are going to just drop a little bit of this on our chip. I got to get it up a little higher so you can see what we're doing here. Oh, you got yours already. You're better at this than me.
I'm ready to cheers.
Okay, so here, are you ready? Let's do it. I can live with that.
That's pretty good.
As we're eating this, I'm thinking this is sort of watching you do that at the same time I am. It's like communion wafers at church, right? So,
yes.
So, here's the thing. Here's why we're doing this. We are having these sizzling conversations because in just a couple of weeks, we are going to have amazing, sizzling, hot topic conversations at our Evolve conference for life enrichment directors. I am so passionate about this, and it breaks my heart, frankly, Kristin, that we as an industry don't make life enrichment a higher priority. I mean, when you think about it, maybe not so much in nursing homes, and I know that's a big part of what you do, but certainly in independent living and assisted living, life enrichment is the only thing we really got. It's the one thing you can't get at home is that socialization package. This will make your life enrichment directors better. Frankly, every executive director should be here. I would even say that if you're a salesperson, it'll make you a more effective salesperson. The tickets are so stinking cheap. You should buy 2 of them just so you feel like you're getting your money's worth. And but it's like, I don't know, $150 or something for 15 hours, and your people will come back inspired, refreshed with ideas. It'll be amazing. So.
Yeah, I could not agree more. You know, I often say at our campuses that the life enrichment department brings the joy. You know, they're the department that should be bringing the joy to the campus, and they can't do that if we're not investing in them. And, you know, celebrating our residents' lives and the things that they do and are passionate about, and making every moment fun is something that, you know, like you said, it gets so diluted through regulations and through processes and through structures and schedules and all the things that in our industry we're kind of trained that is the priority for lots of different reasons. So it has to maintain a focus. It has to be something you pull out of that whirlwind and keep as a primary focus.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think about this and I think, what would it be like if your life enrichment program was so good that every single resident, even in skilled nursing, said, I'm having an amazing life. And every family member came in and said, Mom's having the best time of her life. It is transforming her life. And what would that do to your staff happiness? What would that do to your occupancy, right? I think that what gets missed is the potential for this to just make your occupancy go sky high. So
I also think that we unintentionally, I mean, I don't feel like it's an intentional act within our industry, but unintentionally, we kind of put a ceiling out there at what people can do and what can happen. And I think that encouraging at a minimum our life enrichment leaders to advocate for that ceiling to be removed. We just, we take people boating in long-term care. I mean, they're safe, but they get on the boat, and those are things that are difficult to do. It's not an easy task, but it's so important. And that one moment lasts so long in the minds and the hearts of those residents that it makes it so very worth it.
Well, that's right. And it doesn't have to be every day. So let's go to the neck hot sauce. Well, I don't think we're going to get through. We've got 10 bottles in this. And so I think we're going to go every other one. And then we're actually going to back up, and I'm going to do the introductory stuff I should do, which is to have you talk about who you are and what your passions are. I got to grab my my next hot sauce bottle here. Oh, you're obviously much better organized.
So I'm ready. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
Right there. And look at you. I feel so badly.
I don't know. I feel like it's soaking into my chip even more. I don't know if this was a good plan or a bad plan.
And then what's the Scooby-Doo number on this?
Well, it's number 3, Mango Habanero.
Oh, I've got. You're going to 3. I've got number 2. Oh no, you're right. 3. I got the wrong one. Yeah. Absolutely. Wait, mango habanero. There it is. Okay.
I normally make it a point to not eat things with habanero in the title. So this, you know.
1200. So this is going to really test you here.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
I feel like my eyelids.
Another a tortilla chip, like communion wafer thing. There we go. Okay. Here we go.
Ready? I mean,
spicy.
The tickle's in the back spicy. A little bit.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna try a little water here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay.
Don't you think I need milk yet? But we're getting there. Ooh, baby, that is not nothing. Okay, Kristin, let's talk about who you are, what you do, and what your passion is.
Okay. Kristin Harris, Chief Operating Officer for Nye Health Services. We are a regional long-term care organization out of the Midwest, out of Nebraska. We have 5 different campuses, home health, physician clinic, and operations within that market. We have the full continuum of care. So we definitely have appreciated the independent to assisted living to long-term care, short-term rehab continuum that is created within our markets and the service that we're able to provide to our residents within that one process. So that is who we are. Okay, it's getting a little warm in my throat, right? I maybe should have taken a drink of water.
Take a drink.
Yeah, that is who we are as an organization. Our company has been around for 34 years. We are very passionate about our people, our residents, and our team members. We follow what we call our triangle of success, where our residents are at the top. In regards to our decision making, they're always the first thing we make a decision about. And for our team members are on one corner, and then the financial viability of the business and our ability to sustain operations and invest in those 2 corners is the third triangle corner. So that is who we are in a very brief nutshell. I'm not sure if you want me to go further than that, Steve.
So let me ask you, before we went live, I sort of asked what your passions are, and one of the things that you talked about that is an area that I'm just passionate about is your culture. It's sort of my dirty secret. Not that it's really a secret, but as I look at my role in the senior living ecosystem, I wish I could tell you my passion was for older people. I like older people. I'm even rapidly becoming one. But my real passion is for the frontline workers. And what I love about our industry is we can give people who are sort of at the, I don't know, at the beginning stages of opportunity for work, and we can give them work that is a lot more meaningful than serving coffee or hamburgers, and we can give them, if they wanted, a career path. And I don't want to dismiss those who love being a caregiver and don't want to do anything else. So I'd love to have kind of you just talk a little bit about your passion for creating culture, and maybe a little bit about what you're doing to make that work.
Absolutely. Our organization and myself personally, we are aggressively, I would say, passionate about culture. And we believe anybody can come up with really great words. You can have, I mean, we have some of our culture stuff behind me. Anybody can come up with really great words. You can put it on the wall, you can put it on your papers and all those things, but it's how people execute it and the behaviors of your team that creates your culture. That's what we believe. And so that ability to take your vision of what your culture is and turn it into executable behaviors is the secret sauce to creating and influencing the culture in an environment. And we talk a lot about the culture of accountability within creating what culture we want, because, you know, really that one person that walks down the hallway and they're not wearing their name tag, or they're not smiling, or they're not communicating in a way that you would want. If we don't address that one situation, we don't coach them and educate them, we've approved that behavior. And so it really takes a lot of discipline and a lot of prioritization and a lot of focus to make sure that we're creating accountability to the behaviors that drive culture. And that's hard in long-term care because you have a whirlwind of paperwork and documentation and surveys and regulation and all the things that you get slapped in the forehead with. Where do you prioritize someone wearing their name tag or someone greeting, you know, every person that walks down the hallway? Where does that fit into your schedule? And how do you make sure you spare time within your schedule intentionally to do that? Those are executing activities that need to happen, we believe, within long-term care.
And what's interesting to me, the other part of me that I found sort of going through my head as you were talking about, you know, how do you prioritize the name tag, is how do you prioritize it without making it sound like you're just petty and picky, right?
Sure. Well, that is a skill, and it takes practice, is what I would say. Nobody's going to be perfect. We don't expect anybody to come out of the gate as a leader and be absolutely perfect at communication from day one. It's not going to happen, but you got to practice it. You have to put yourself out there, and you got to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, and that's okay. And so we do coach people in regards to specific verbiage, and we have always expected behaviors, and then we have leadership always expected behaviors. And those leadership always expected behaviors are actually, hopefully, the tool that they're using in how to communicate, and the words that we're teaching them to not offend somebody, but truly have a coach's mindset, not a manager's mindset or a dictating mindset in how you approach that conversation. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, okay. I got a couple of thoughts on this, but we've got to go to number 5 first. I bet you're worried now, aren't you?
I'm getting a Kleenex ready in case I cry.
Oh man, to see you cry. I don't know that I've ever had anybody cry on air before. That could be really cool.
Well, it would be unintentional tears is what it would be.
Okay, yeah. So we are looking at, oh man, can you believe this?
They should name these different. They should name them different.
Wait, I got to do it. Wait, I got to get over in front of my face, right? Fiery cayenne. Fiery cayenne.
Yeah.
And here, oh man. I got my milk and my water. I got the water lid already open and lid off here.
See sweat on me, I'm just glistening. I want everybody to know that. It's from the hot sauce.
Oh man. Okay, here we go.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So at first, it's like, this isn't so bad, right?
Right, there's nothing
and then
there.
It just jumps in there, and so hang on, I gotta.
Oh my goodness, this this is
Might have to
something.
go to milk here. I'm not sure.
Oh my, I'm putting the lid on that one because I'm done with that.
Yeah, that is not that was hot.
Oh,
I'm really, really worried
okay.
about what happens next. So
And
I
I
want to
get
come
to
back to this.
oh man. Okay.
I want to come back to this culture thing. Um, I just think that one of the things that so first, actually, I want to say I had breakfast with a friend of mine who's a local CEO by the name of Mark Cimino. He's got a family-run building here in the Sacramento area, and one of the things that he's starting to talk to his team about that I really liked a lot is that he reminds his team members that every time they have an interaction with a resident, he's doing assisted living, people who need quite a bit of care. It could be the very last conversation or very last human interaction they have with this person on this earth. And it's a pretty powerful way to think about it. And what do you think?
I think that's fantastic, honestly. I think we assume that people know those things. We make assumptions that people are looking at things through that lens or thinking about it in that way. But I think the truth is there are so many different priorities that are being thrown at people that work in our industry, and specifically CNAs and medication aides and nurses and therapists, culinary associates, that it's probably taken for granted is what I would say. I think we probably don't prioritize that lens as much as we should. I think that's a great comment.
I used to teach flying when I was in college in my early 20s. And one of my students was a guy who's a plastic surgeon, and we were doing like a multi-day trip together. And as his wife pulled up and dropped him off to get on the airplane, and they were having this big honking fight. And as he got out of the car to get into the airport, she shouted out to them, "I hope you crash and die." And I was also flying in that airplane, so that was that's the opposite of remembering. And so
Yes,
I think that's it. So one of the things that I really struggle with a lot in our industry, and it's not just a senior living problem, is that there's a ton of data about what great organizations look like, and we actually know what good leadership looks like. And it's been researched to death. And I was listening to a podcast with Adam Grant, Simon Sinek, and Brene Brown this morning when I was out walking. And the thing that Adam said is that we know how to do this, and yet it seems so hard to get it actually taught, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think about fast food. My Jade will be rolling her eyes, who's renting things from behind. But you've got In-N-Out Burger and Chick-fil-A who created these amazing fast food organizations where customers are loyal and people love coming to work. And then you got Taco Bell and McDonald's and Burger King and Carl's Jr. and all these other ones. And they can look at those two great models, and yet they don't seem to change. How do we get past that? Any thoughts? How are you getting past it?
Yeah. Well, there's lots of great books, and actually those are some of my favorite people to listen to also. Fantastic leadership lessons in there that we use within our organization. We also utilize a book called The Culture Code as a foundation of our leadership training, and how we hope that our leaders are behaving and communicating and creating opportunities for conversations with team members. But honestly, I'm going to be very honest. You got to talk the talk and walk the walk. It has to be your leadership team elevating their expectation of those behaviors and leading by example at all times. It has to be a topic of conversation in your meetings. It has to be scheduled into your calendar that these are behaviors and actions that and a choice that we're going to make, that we're going to go do leadership rounding. We're going to go check on our team members. We're going to, whatever the case may be. Because I think that's where it's difficult. I think everybody knows what should happen. They either assume they're doing it or assume it's happening. And we're not actually creating actions to execute on the things that need to happen. And it really has to start with the leadership setting the example and doing it at all times, not being inconsistent. There has to be a level of consistency that this is what we're going to do from now on, and this is the way we're going to communicate. And so I think those are things that companies really do struggle with, and it always comes down to time. Where's the time? Where do you put it within your communication? You sent out an article the other day, and it had leadership lessons. It was like the top 100 things you could do for leaders. And it doesn't take long to send a positive email or send a thank you card or do some of those things. But if you don't actually schedule it, I guarantee you it's never going to be at the top of your priority list. So we schedule time on our calendars for those things, because otherwise the whirlwind and everything else sucks it up.
Yeah, it is so hard. And one of the things, I have a friend of mine who recently lost his job, and he was fired. And we were sort of talking about the process, and what he said to me is, I love my CEO, but my boss is I actually can't say what the word he used on air. And it's really, I've come to realize that perhaps one of the biggest challenges is how do you actually, you can be the greatest boss in the world, but how do you trickle that down to your regionals, if you have regionals, to your executive directors, and then get your executive directors to trickle that down to the department heads? Because people, I mean, the data is really compelling that people quit because of who their boss is, yep. Their immediate supervisor is, right? So yep. As we tackle this hot topic, I think it's time to go to number, what are we on, 7?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And you got yours. Oh man, look at the.
This can't really be number 7, is it?
Ghost peppers.
I'm just going to start giggling because I'm not going to know what else to do but to probably start
laughing. Awesome. That's perfect. That's perfect. We're just keeping it real here. So I'm going to put like the tiniest dab on here that I can. And of course, Rachel noted, I think it was up earlier, do not touch your eye.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Rachel. So, I use a Kleenex.
Here we go. Just a tiny dab will do it.
Okay, I put the same amount I've been putting on it, just for, an evaluation sense.
So you can see how little I have on there. Oh, you got more than I do.
Well, that's what I've been doing. So
wow.
I feel like the data will be skewed. So
we now know that you are braver than I am. Okay, here it goes. Here it goes. Okay.
Nothing. Something. Oh. That's really not. It's about as bad as the last one.
It's not that bad, right?
No.
Now I had less than you, but I don't think that was as bad as the last one.
I'm feeling a little cocky right now. This is making me feel pretty good. Actually, I thought I wouldn't get past the second one.
A little bit of relief. I don't know how that worked out. Okay, so let's go back to this question. How do you trickle down so that ultimately, how do you trickle down so ultimately your department heads are doing the behaviors that you need your leaders to do?
I would ask what are your conversations like with your team and with your leaders? What are the topics that you're choosing to talk about? Because what you talk about is what people are going to focus on. And so if, our industry the last few years have been tough. We talked about COVID a lot. We chose to stop talking about COVID. We're done. And that was a while ago because that seemed to be so consuming that we were losing sight of, all the other things that really were good things that were happening. And so in your conversations with your leaders, are you asking them if they're having one-on-one conversations? Is it a requirement? Are you, how are they building relationships? manage by walking around is not a new concept. That's been out there forever and ever. But what's the intention of that leadership rounding? Are we looking for opportunities in regards to challenges or barriers or issues? Or are we doing it to build relationships, which is what we do? We require daily rounding just to build the relationship. We don't want, I mean, obviously, if you see a significant issue, address it, but that shouldn't be your primary focus. And so in your conversations with your team and their conversations with their leaders, what is the focus and what's the topic? How do you start your stand-up every day? You know, if you're running a campus, what's the message you start at stand-up with? What's the message you end with? Those things are intentional, and they have to be strategic and purposeful so that people truly understand what your focus is at heart. That's
So
what I
well, so you've given us a great opportunity to have a really solid, good takeaway here. So what I'm going to ask you in a minute after we have another salsa tasting is what you start and stop your stand-ups with, because I think this is, I hear so many negative stories about stand-ups that they're dull and we don't, you know, we're all a remote community company. And so we do a Friday meeting that is mostly, and maybe this is my learning solution. Our Friday meeting, I told you, our Friday meeting sort of fell apart at the end today. And I think the lesson was that maybe we did too much business when we should have just stuck with the team building part of it. So I'm going to give you a choice. Are we going to, so we do have to do 10, right? So my question to you is this. Do we go to 8 or 9? We're only going to do either 8 or 9 before we do 10.
Well, I think
so
we should go to
8
9.
10 or 9 and 10. Which one?
I think we should go to 9 and just be done with it. Well,
no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So we're going to do 9 and 10?
Yeah, I told you.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm going to probably
Let's do it.
very much so regret this. I don't even know how
let's do
I
it.
agreed to this, but.
So the first thing that I notice is that 9 and 10 are much smaller bottles. And to me, that seems like that's a warning, right? And so here we go for 9. I am pretty nervous about that. Wait a minute, you're faster, more efficient than I am. I got to get this done here. Okay.
I have a whole display set up ready for this. So
good. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. That has got some bite in it. Wait a minute. Oh, it's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Oh,
cheers. Oh, it's still burning. It's still burning.
Okay.
It's still burning. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Let's between the tears. This is cracking me up. Between the tears. Tell me about how you start and stop your stand-up meetings.
Well, okay. First of all, if any leader goes into a stand-up meeting and you haven't prepped for the meeting, that's the first mistake. It needs to be intentional. You need to think about where things are at and where your focus is. And so you can't just go in blind. You need to take at least 5 minutes and think through the agenda and where everybody's at and what's been happening in your environment and your team, and strategically decide what your message is going to be. So we start with mission, vision, values every single time. It starts there. We celebrate first, celebrate our team, celebrate our wins, our little wins and our big wins. And it's public. It's the first thing that's on stand-up. We put it up on big screens and everybody can see it. And we publicize this. We print these off and put them out throughout the entire campus so that our team members can see that.
Before you continue, I want to stop you because you said something so important that I'm completely passionate about. You've got to celebrate little wins. Mm-hmm. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that operators make is they only celebrate big wins, which means they don't have enough wins to celebrate. And you've got to celebrate those little wins. Okay, continue on.
Every single day. I mean, it should happen every single day. people are doing great things. And I always say we're such a humble industry, and we never toot our own horns. We don't identify them as little wins because it's just what people are doing. But the truth is there is so much happening that people should be celebrating amongst our teams. So that's the first part. You get into the meat and potatoes of it. Of course, you go through your census and your PPDs and whatever, but we actually identify who's doing leadership rounding, how they report off on their rounding from the day before, how it went. Were there any team member challenges? What was the feel of the campus? It's part of the conversation, and it's not just department leaders, it's a leadership team stand up. They're all included. And then when you end, how many of you love a meeting that just ends and then you just stare at each other and you're like, okay, I guess we're done now. And everybody just gets up and walks out. We have a campus that at the end of their meeting, Go Gateway, they end with a power clap. It's a 1, 2, 3 clap every single time. And it's just like that momentum at the end of it that sends them out of that door and onto their day. So I think you have to start with mission, vision, values. You have to talk about the people, and you have to celebrate the little ones.
Yeah, I love that so much. So there's so much more I would wish we had time to talk about. I'd love to talk to you about how you listen, how you gather feedback from your team members, how you gather and retell stories. We are out of time. So the last story we're going to do is number 10.
I am not going to lie. My mouth is burning. It is.
Mine is too.
But they're so subtle. The first word is peach. So it just makes it sound like it's going to be.
Yeah. So what's it called? It's peach ghost pepper. I mean, although it does have a skull on it, right? I don't know. I'm going to put this on there. You obviously did a better job of prepping than I did. So I actually put 2 drops on in celebration of making it to there and realizing that I can go do something after this. So here we go.
Cheers.
Here it goes.
Waiting.
See, at first it doesn't.
There's nothing at first.
So far, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh no. Oh no.
That's oh my.
Oh. Oh.
I feel like I'm gonna breathe fire, Steve.
I gotta find tissue here.
Wow. I can't.
Oh.
Wow.
That is it.
Oh.
So but Kristin, we made it to number 10. We persevered. So we are going to have to do a part 2 on this, and we hardly talked about programming at all, which we should have.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say to those of you watching, you've got to sizzle your way to the Evolve conference. It will change. If you want to connect with Kristin, you can see how brave and courageous she is, what an amazing leader she is. You can find her on LinkedIn. There's the link, or probably easier to just search for her and get your tickets for Evolve 2023. It happens in about 2 weeks. It's going to be amazing. Thank you, Terry. You talk. Oh man, I came back and bit me late. And
it's toasty.
It is. And with that, thank you very much. For all of you who are watching, have a great holiday weekend. I love you. I love that we are all about making the lives of people who live and work in senior living better. I love you. I love what you're doing. I love your passion. Oh man, it's really hot. I'm dying worse than you. I don't know about that. So anyway, you guys are changing the world each and every day for residents, for family members, and I love you for that. And with that, we will see you back next week.
Thank you, Steve. Bye, everyone.